Good evening, friends. We live in a times where the entire human race is faced by this enormous threat. It is a threat so much so, all of us fear. We are at the end of living itself. A lot of members from the Christian communities are very strongly believing these are signs of end times. It is quite a problematic conclusion, basically because of one primary biblically rooted ethical premise, which is when somebody is suffering, to conclude on that suffering as God's wrath is to almost be like those friends who were around Job. Job's friends concluded the entire question on Job's suffering is because of Job's sin. It is quite brutal on many grounds. Instead of immediately responding to not the question of suffering, rather immediately responding to elimination of suffering and to be in solidarity with somebody who's in suffering, for anybody to ask a question, this is basically because of your doing, is so unbiblical. Bible cautions us with such questions. On the other hand, there is also another question that Job is confronted with, a question which is more personal. Job's wife cautions Job. Why don't you basically curse this God and get lost? I think that question is important, basically because Job's wife is inviting Job to another premise of communication. Job's wife is asking Job to start communicating with the divine. Job's wife is asking Job to enter in a completely different realm of communicating with God, who is already communicated or still in communication with this force that is challenging Job's integrity and challenging the very idea of God's dependency on Job or confidence on Job. Job's wife is pushing Job into that realm of communicating with the divine. What we have soon after this particular proposal or challenge by Job's wife is Job is entering into a conversation with God. Job is asking deeper questions, and God responds. My dear friends, at this time of adversity, I think we should celebrate our liberty to communicate with God. We should start living the liberty that we have in God. For that matter, in this situation, lament, and through lamentation ask serious questions. And I'm sure as Job received answers from God and later providence from God, we will also receive answers from God and providence from God. This is not the end of the world. The entire apocalyptic literature in the Bible is about informing the faith community to open the mind's eye that has never been opened. A mind's eye that will see the demon in act. A demon that is working in and through the fabric of humanity. Let us not conclude by saying things like, it is the end. Jesus is coming. Jesus has already come. And Jesus also said it is important to realize the kingdom of God here and now. And Jesus has also told us to realize the kingdom of God within. So much so that we have to recognize the kingdom of God within us in the time of fear. We have to realize the kingdom of God at this time of anxiety, uncertainty, and ambiguity. Cross of Christ calls us for us to enter into this domain. A domain that is too hard to enter into. And probably we all fear that domain. And that is why we wouldn't want to raise questions. As I told, apocalyptic literature in the Bible is all about opening the mind's eye to see the demon in act. Well, coronavirus is also an act of the demon, but this demon is embedded in all of us. This demon is embedded in the powers of the world. This demon is embedded in the politics of this world. This demon is embedded in the political ideologies of this world. This demon has reduced humanity to inhuman reality. Let's all be quarantined, but not with fear. Let's all be quarantined with that basic notion of inquiry. Let us inquire God at this time and uphold our brothers and sisters, our friends and families with some sort of confidence. Let us not uphold each other in fear. Rather, let us uphold each other in confidence. Because Christ on the cross was confident. At the point of deepest adversity, his disciples were confident about realizing the kingdom of God within them, then and there. And that is why Stephen, at the point of being stoned to death, he could see a beautiful vision of heaven then and there. My dear friends, take courage. Take courage in the cross. The Christ on the cross is a Christ who restores us. And Christ is willing to restore us from fear, from ambiguity, from uncertainty. May God bless you all and give you that courage that this world wouldn't understand. In Jesus' name, I say this.